Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and people of all ages. This is Todd Wolverton once again, sitting in the throne, held much more appropriately by Greg Mahachka. And I am hosting the Five Heart Podcast this evening with my college buddy, the one and only, thank God, John Dam Johnston. John, how are things in Minnesota today?
Oh, it's been a beautiful summer so far. I mean, shit hasn't burned down very much. It's been nice. The last 2 days for me have been bad days because sometimes the brain injury and stress don't go together, and I end up with what are damn close to migraines, and I turn into a blob where I just kind of lay around and I don't do much, and then it's life's miserable for a little bit. How's that for start out positive?
Well, for many of our listeners from Nebraska, and then certainly where I'm at in Iowa right now tonight, we haven't had rain. Now, different parts of Nebraska's had a little bit of rain, and I don't know when the last time was that they had any measurable precipitation in the area where I'm at right now. But it's kind of tough when you're working to get a house ready to put on the market and you've had part of your lawn torn up and seeded and you don't have any rain. Needless to say, we're watering a little bit, but certainly our problems are nowhere on the same scale as, some of our friends in Nebraska that depend upon water and farming and irrigation and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully Mother Nature will be kind in the next few days and bless us with some rain so people can be happier with a little rain. So speaking of happy, it appears, it appears, John, that many Nebraska fans are feeling very positive. There are skeptics, but many people are feeling very positive about the latest recruit that Nebraska has signed. I think probably the phrase that I read many, many times is, "We have our quarterback." John, what can you tell us about our quarterback for this recruiting class?
His name is Richard Torres. He's a 3-star guy. He's 6'6", 210 pounds. So when you see this picture of him with Scott Frost and Adrian Martinez, he's taller than both of them. It's obvious that he needs to get into a weight program and, I don't know, get his shoulders a little bit better formed. I don't know. Honestly, I guess I don't, when people look at this stuff, I don't follow this stuff close enough. And I look at it and go, well, he's a 3-star. What am I supposed to be impressed about? And I know that 3 stars aren't, they're in the whatever, it's a star. Now that Nebraska's recruiting him, I'm sure he'll go up to 4 or 5. But,
there you go. Well, I'm not a recruit, Nick, either. And in fact, I equate it to a meat market, and it kind of disgusts me a little bit how adults work so hard to manipulate teenagers, but that's all for another show at another time. But one of the things I did read about Richard Torres, yes, he's a tall kid. His high school coach says he doesn't believe he's done growing yet. He might get as tall as 6'7" perhaps, and expects him to put on another 20 to 30 pounds. He's going to be a big man. But more importantly, they say he can really wing it. They say he has got an incredibly strong arm. And now it appears, and we've had one of our writers write about it on Corn Nation, that it appears as if Scott Frost and Mario Verduzco are changing, kind of shifting a little bit in their philosophy, and they're going after a different kind of a quarterback. You got Heinrich, did I say it right? Heinrich Harbaugh and
Heinrich Harburg.
Harvard. You see, I'm never
let him butcher his name on the website, man.
I am I think I have early onset. I couldn't remember the name of a girl I watched play softball last night. I was trying to tell a story to my wife, and I couldn't come up with the kid's name. But the last 2 quarterbacks that they've recruited are 6'5", 6'6", and they've been commended for their arm strength and really being able to throw the ball downfield. So looks like there might be a shift. And
you know what else he needs? according to this picture, and we'll put it in the show notes, he needs better hair.
It's important for a quarterback to have good hair.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he should have really, flowing, nice hair so that it looks like he's going to start his own cult.
Kind of like Aaron Rodgers, huh? Is that what you're saying? Nice flowing hair, starting his own cult, the anti-Packers. And
Wow.
okay, yeah, wow. Well, hair makes the man. Hair makes the man. And I've never seen, or I don't remember seeing very many bald-headed quarterbacks.
Terry Bradshaw.
Well, yeah, Terry Bradshaw, but back in the day, he did a comb over, and had some on the sides, but nonetheless, so they've got a quarterback. I think the other news that was reported on Corn Nation is they they got a commitment from another kicker from Iowa Western. Apparently, Iowa Western is the hotbed of junior college kickers. And I know that I was reading some stuff earlier today, and I think you made the comment that we have twice as many, if not 3 times as many kickers on the roster as the Cornhuskers have quarterbacks.
I think we now have 54 kickers.
54 kickers. Okay.
Yes. And I know what the question most people are going to ask. They're going to ask, can they play offensive line? And in fact, 2 of them can. That's why they're listed actually as offensive linemen, but they're also kickers.
Well, all they need is a kicker that can kick the ball into the end zone, or better yet, through the end zone.
If you're not going to stay in your freaking lane, why am I not swearing? If you're not going to stay in your lane on kickoff coverage, then yeah, we need to get a guy that's going to get touchbacks, like all of them. So I guess
like
one way you can solve your special teams problems is never let the other team have the ball.
Yep.
And I guess they're kind of like going, well, we suck at special teams coaching and coverage. So I don't know, kick the damn thing out of bounds and let them get it at 35. We'll give up 10 yards, but not 90.
It never used to be a problem. I mean, it used to be Nebraska. The last person on the roster that you had to worry about was a kicker. So I guess all things come to an end. The pipeline came to an end. The black shirts kind of came to an end. And the kicker dynasty kind of came to an end. So they're going to have to rebuild that. So it sounds to me like Connor Culp will handle the field goals, but they need that kid that's got that big old booming leg to kick the ball out of the end zone. So I guess just to kind of wrap up the whole recruiting thing, since neither you or I have a great deal of wisdom on that front, is all June, every college and university and all sports are just going bonkers recruiting student athletes. And I know that Nebraska's had events on the first 2 weekends of June, and they've got another one planned, and trying to bring in, as many of their personal top-rated recruits, the guys on the top of their boards, as they can for official visits. And there are some others that are taking unofficial visits. Who would ever thought that Dominic Raiola, the center, his son would be a quarterback? Now he's not in the 2022 class. I think he's in the class of 2023. But boy, if he looks at all like Dominic did when he was a Husker, that will be an interesting looking young man out there playing quarterback.
He'll want to smash his face into people all the time. Wait, that was Corey Schlesinger. I'm thinking of Corey Schlesinger, who repeatedly broke his face mask in the pros, not in college, but in the pros. But Dominic Raiola did some nasty business.
Dominic Raiola, he was a mean dude. He was a guy that took the game very serious back.
And then he played for years. He played for years in Detroit, and so he needs things to go his way. Maybe God will bless his kids for.
Maybe there you go. There you go.
Having to play for those sons of bitches. Anyway.
Yeah.
What else?
Well, so I guess other news that's got Nebraskans kind of fired up is the whole transfer portal. Heard a few guys talking on the radio about the transfer portal and read a few things. Some people that are optimistic that it's going to level out and even out a little bit. because many of these guys are starting to realize that once they enter the transfer portal, they totally get lost, and they've basically doomed themselves from ever being recruited again. So maybe there'll be a little bit of sanity come to that, but that's not what Nebraskans are focused on. They're focused on a familiar name who quarterbacked the team to a victory last fall over Penn State, and that would be one Luke McCaffrey. Luke, who entered the portfolio and headed down to Louisville with the dream of becoming a starting quarterback, apparently has once again entered the transfer portal. So where's he going to go now, John?
He came out at Rice, known for its damn good pitching.
Coach
I don't know
Graham.
what else. Rice was known for something like in the 1960s, 1955, 1960. Rice had some really good college football players.
Well, they haven't had any good college football in decades. You're right. They've had some really good baseball when Wayne Graham was the coach down there. And actually, that was the team that Nebraska beat to make their first trip to the College World Series. Coach Graham was coaching the Rice Owls, and those games played at good old Buck Belzer Stadium 20 years ago. But Luke McCaffrey is going to head to Rice. And I would guess that Luke McCaffrey will probably have a good shot to become the starting quarterback there. Now, if he doesn't, will he finally get the message that maybe he is not a Division I quarterback?
I don't think so. That wasn't the big news. Scott Frost and all the coaches and all the land that we care about are going around the state of Nebraska to 20 different stops on the Big Red Blitz this week. And Scott Frost at one place apparently didn't mention Luke McCaffrey by name, but said something about the transfer portal and basically said, buckle up. Mitch Sherman tweeted this. More words on the wild nature transfer portal from Scott Frost, who referenced Luke McCaffrey without mentioning the name. Buckle up, because this isn't the last time you're going to see this happening. Frost said. He added, a lot of these kids are getting bad advice. Christian McCaffrey, the one McCaffrey that's apparently successful, is going to drag everybody along with him, whether they want to be or not, didn't like this apparently, and tweeted, which we'll also include in the show notes on the website. Hold on, didn't you transfer? Referring to Scott Frost transfer from Stanford to Nebraska. PSA to all recruits, take note on how a coach treats his players once they're no longer useful to him. Come on, man. And I guess there's a lot of reactions to that. Number one was a really mean reaction, which goes, Luke was useful. And it's a low shot. It is. It's nasty.
It is. That is a nasty shot.
It is.
I honestly, if I trace, my thoughts back through the year, I remember being on a podcast when Adrian Martinez was struggling. And I think you were the one that posed the question, John, who should start the next game? Or Greg may have posed that question. And we unanimously said, Luke McCaffrey should start the next game. Adrian was struggling. He was in a funk. And at least with what Luke had shown in his time on the field against Northwestern, personally, I believe that he deserved a chance to start a game and maybe jumpstart Nebraska. And, he won. They won the game against Penn State. And then it seemed like the next game that he started, is that the game where they threw the little the horizontal pass to the sideline that got intercepted and returned for a touchdown, right? I don't know. I don't remember. I have a horrible memory. But nonetheless, Luke kind of shot himself in the foot, and he was horrible. And maybe he was putting too much pressure on himself. Maybe he realized, what the stakes were. But Luke McCaffrey, I don't think any Nebraska fan that pays any attention at all will argue with the fact that Luke McCaffrey is an incredible athlete. Luke McCaffrey does have a lot to offer a college football team. In my opinion, it's just not as a starting quarterback. And it's for that reason I wish I wish he was listening to different advice, according to his brother.
Okay, what's the fucking point of going to Rice?
To
Yeah,
play
you want to
quarterback.
start, you want to play. What is the fucking point?
To play quarterback.
Nobody, but nobody is ever going, nobody's going to go, oh, look, Rice quarterback Luke McCaffrey got 2 touchdowns today as Rice was obliterated by some huge fucking team, 73-10 or 14.
Well, you know
what I mean?
You can flip that over, John, and maybe Luke McCaffrey, and maybe his dad Ed, and maybe Christian, and is it Dylan? Maybe they all know that Luke McCaffrey is an incredible quarterback, and maybe he's going to go down there and he's going to turn the world upside down and just show everyone and get that attention from the NFL. Maybe that's what's going to happen. I seriously doubt it, but Luke McCaffrey has made it clear that he wants to be a quarterback in Division I, and that's why he's down at Rice.
And then his brother Dylan leaves Michigan for the Northern Colorado Golden Bears to play for Dad. I'll tell you what, I looked at that Christian McCaffrey tweet and I thought, that's going to it's a stupid fucking take by him. It really is. You know what I mean? You get thicker skin, you candy ass. You're a star player in the NFL. You're widely respected all over the place. You're both your brothers have transferred from named schools that probably aren't doing as well as they'd like to nowhere. And there wasn't even a shot taken at Luke McCaffrey. And that's how thin your skin is, that you have to react with that dumbass tweet. Maybe if we just shoot at the fuckers, then they'll understand when you get somebody attacking you directly is when you respond with your thin-skinned tweety shit. There's my ranking.
I tell you what, I think that Scott Frost showed more faith in in Luke McCaffrey. I think he showed more faith in him than any other person on the planet outside of his immediate family.
Yeah.
And because he stuck with it. And, he even made it clear at different times when the media and everyone else was screaming, why is he playing quarterback? Are you going to switch him to, a receiver or put him in that duck R position or something like that? Is that, when are you going to do that? And Scott Frost honored the commitment that he made. It's obvious he made a commitment to Luke McCaffrey that he could come to Nebraska and play quarterback, and he stuck with it. And for that, he gets shit from Big Brother when he doesn't mention him by name.
Now, Mitch Sherman did put out a tweet that included the entire minute 45 comments by Frost, and people are attacking Mitch Sherman too. And I guess that's what you do on Twitter is you attack people. I mean, I certainly do. Because I did tweet. I retweeted Christian McCaffrey's tweet with the Luke was useful thing. I also said I liked watching him at Nebraska, and I did. I enjoyed watching Luke play. We're on a first name basis, obviously, and I hope he does well. But don't give me this fucking shit about Scott Frost transferred to Nebraska and won a national title. You dumb shit.
Well, and you know what? Scott Frost recognized that he was not going to be a quarterback in that system that Bill Walsh was running out at Stanford. And, I remember the first time, I remember reading about the whole recruiting and stuff. And then, actually when we saw Scott Frost had a very weird delivery throwing the football. Yeah. And, it was not like Bill Walsh coached quarterbacks. And
it was the shot put.
Yeah. And,
didn't his mother do that in the Olympics?
I think she was a javelin thrower, actually, but she coached all that stuff. He threw the shot. I think he has a record still, Class C record or something like that in the shot put in Nebraska, something like that. So, but no, the portal is going to be an interesting thing to keep an eye on. And, there was another story today that kind of alluded to that when Scott Frost at one of those stops on the Big Red Blitz mentioned that he might only be taking 15 players in one of the upcoming recruiting classes out of high school. And I understand that. I understand why they would be doing that.
You do? Why? Because I don't.
I do. There is such a focus on win now. Just look at where Nebraska fans are at this point with Scott Frost. Hell, they were there in year 2. No one's going to have patience to let a coach build a program from the ground up, bringing in freshman players and developing them. When you can go in the portal and you can find some players that have been seasoned, that are more mature, that have been in a weight room for 3 or 4 years, 2 or 3 years, or whatever it might be, that can, challenge right now for a top spot in the lineup. You do that, you take that guy every time over a high school kid. There are very, very few high school kids that you can go to the bank that they're going to contribute. I'm not saying set foot on the field, that are going to contribute to the success of the team on the field during games their freshman year. But you can bank on some of these guys that got 2 and 3 years experience. I mean, for God's sakes, Nebraska picked up a cornerback from Ohio State that when he was coming out of high school was a 5-star cornerback. And in the position group that many people already are saying is the deepest, strongest position group on the team, the defensive backfield, they added a former 5-star recruit. So adios, high school cornerback.
There's a class and then give let's say 7 or 8 scholarships to transfer portal guys.
I would. I think it was Kansas State coach said that he was going to reserve. He made it public that going forward he's going to save X number. I don't know what the number was. Might have been 7, 8, 9 scholarships. He's going to save them for the transfer portal.
Wow. So this is like the NFL.
It's a new dynamic. It's free agency. You got the draft, which, is not a draft. It's who can schmooze a 17, 18-year-old kid the best, who can con them into coming to their institution.
Con, is that what we're using? Is that what we're saying the word is?
I've got a bad taste in my mouth about. I saw Division I recruiting, and I know that there's a lot of people that I'm not unique, but I saw Division I recruiting very close in my career as a high school principal and activities director. I saw Division I football players recruited. I saw Division I wrestlers recruited. Never saw a Division I basketball player recruited, but I've seen that, and I've seen how this all works. And it's exploitation. It's a meat market.
That's it?
I'm going to stop right there. You want to?
You were going to tell us the story.
No, maybe what we ought to do some night is bring on Haas, and he and I can face off on recruiting, because he knows it a lot better than I do.
Have you ever been to a cattle auction?
Yeah, I've bought cattle at a cattle auction.
Is it like that?
Well, you got buyers there, and before the auction begins, they walk through the pens. I mean, this is in the old days. Hell, now they're all on the internet. But in the old days, you go to the sale barn, buyers get there all early, and they walk through the pens, and they're looking at the best pen of cattle. And then they get, they sit there, and they've got the list of when each pen's going to come through. And the guy with the most money in his pocket's going to walk out with the best pen of cattle. And I would say that Alabama.
Would you say that is a good representation of college recruiting?
Absolutely. Look who's up there every year. Look who's up there.
Yeah.
And I'm not into I know that we have a lot of people that post on the site about the bag men and all of those irregularities and stuff like that. Even if you don't have that, look what Alabama can roll out. Look what Clemson can roll out. Look what Georgia can roll out. Look what Ohio State can roll out. And it isn't 300,000 foot facilities. That's another thing that I think Nebraska fans are being misled on, is we're going to build this new palace, this 300 1,000-foot football palace, and all of a sudden, the only people that are going to come on campus for official visits are going to be the 5 stars. We're going to exclusively get those 5 stars. And then we'll sprinkle in some of those, dedicated, devoted Nebraska walk-ons to fill out the team. But this palace is just going to be so incredibly magnificent that we're going to bring bullshit. The
wait a minute. You're sounding like you wanted life to be one way and it's another, and you're an angry, bitter old man now.
Oh, we could go a long time on that, John.
Oh, well, we have the off season.
We do have the off season. If we could start with the NCAA and college athletics according to Todd Wolverton. And the first thing we do is we go into the glossary and we strike the word student athlete, because there is no such thing as a student athlete in the Division I and II levels. It does not exist. So let's quit fooling ourselves. The NCAA used that term back in the 1950s to justify exploitation that they were doing back then. They thought, so that we can keep antitrust off of our asses, let's call these athletes, we'll call them student athletes. And then that will give the image of amateurism and academia. Bullshit.
If I'm exploited and I know I'm being exploited, is it still exploitation?
Depends on what state you're in. What is the age of consent, buddy?
Oh my God. That's terrible. Jeffrey Epstein lives. Okay. Maybe we'll do a podcast on exploitation. I think for part of the summer, we're just going to go out and find guests to join us that we don't know anything about. I
think that's a great idea, John. Bring some people in and
terrify them with our oldness.
Yeah, that would be fun. That'd be fun. Well, we did have another topic that you and I have alluded to a number of different times, and with the time we have left, I'm not sure how deep we can really go into it, but I think this would be a good opportunity to bring somebody in and interview as well, and maybe have a roundtable of some of the Corn Nation folks about it. But the whole name, image, and likeness debate, and that's been stirring for quite a while. There have been various lawsuits over the years. Within the last 10 years or so, you got the O'Banion lawsuit. Where he says, "Hey, you're using my picture on video games. I should get a cut of that." Ed O'Banion, and then you had the quarterback from Northwestern, Cade. I can't remember what his name was. Good kid who attempted to organize, the players into a bargaining unit. The whole concept of compensation, financial compensation for athletes, has been discussed, debated, attempted over the years. And it appears to me that someone with a lot more wisdom than I have, kind of landed on something that sounded reasonable. I think it might have been you. And that is this concept of name, image, and likeness. And, it wasn't getting any traction from the NCAA. The NCAA does a great job of just never commenting. And, they have tremendous patience. Oh, this too shall pass. If we don't say anything about it, it will go away. Kind of like punishment for infractions. If we don't say anything, people will forget. But so anyway, the name, image, and likeness thing has not gone away, and it's they've had some conversation with it in Congress, but some states, took the bull by the horn, including Nebraska, and state legislatures, probably those with some pretty hardcore college football fans, that are senators or congressmen or not, whatever they are, state legislators, representatives. There we go. They pass laws in their state. So, literally in the state of Nebraska. And does it go into effect July 1 of this year?
Yes.
Technically, there is a law in the state of Nebraska that goes into effect July 1 where college athletes can profit. This is an oversimplification, can profit off of their name, image, and likeness. Now, of course, you have people out there screaming, like hell because they don't have those laws in their states. And it's interesting that you go down south and most of the states down there have them. But what I found real interesting, and before we go down this deep dive, about 2 weeks ago, Bernie Sanders and another senator proposed legislation to pay college athletes. And when that came up, of course, make them a bargaining unit and that type of thing, because Bernie Sanders is very pro-labor. There's a lot, I'm oversimplifying again. But I posted at the time, the NCAA may have wished that they had acted on name, image, and likeness a year ago, because this storm that may be coming, where you recognize college football players, college athletes as labor, that will throw college athletics into a tailspin. John, you've studied name, image. I think it would. Because nobody knows where to draw the line.
What does that mean?
How do you compensate? When you have laws, and when the NCAA could draft regulations, they could make it pretty damn simple to define how you can benefit from name, image, and likeness. If you go further than that, where you are compensating them as employees, as labor, and you start throwing wage and benefits into the package here, that gets a lot more complicated.
Yeah, but we're not doing any of that.
Not yet.
No, Wayne, they're not going to.
Well,
Bernie Sanders is an outlier.
I'm not, okay, I agree with you.
I mean, honest to God, if you want to see exploitation, I'll tell you what, you tell me an association or an entity that is going to be the collective bargaining.
It's doomed to fail.
Official outfit for college athletes.
That is, I agree with you, John. That's doomed to failure. College athletes do not have the strength or the know-how to do that. They don't. But what college athletes do have is this is a new generation, and they truly are recognizing that, we'll use that term again, they're being exploited. When you have college athletic programs that have annual budgets that are bigger than some countries, and they pull that money in on the backs of free labor, that's exploitation. There's no other way to explain it. Don't give me that crap about, well, they get a free college education.
They
Bullshit.
are compensated. They are compensated.
They get, you have 85 football players that get a free college education if they produce and do not have their scholarship taken away, because those scholarships are only 1-year agreements.
Right.
You have 12 basketball players, men and women, that get a free college education. And I'm probably missing something else, but the vast majority of college athletes do not get full ride scholarships.
Right.
They get partials. And so when people want to say that, they get a free college education, what's the percentage of football players?
I don't think how many people are really going to argue against this?
The name, image, and likeness? Nobody should argue against it. No one should argue.
I'm not talking about nobody should. How many people do you know that are actually against this?
I haven't heard anybody. Well, yeah. Okay, yeah, I have. An 82-year-old man that will not go named.
Right, because it represents change, and change is hard.
Yes.
Okay, I will only say this. If Lexi's son ever puts on Instagram an anti-aging cream, I would buy that shit in a bucket.
Well,
if Lexi's son is going to tweet about anything that would benefit me at all as an old man, I would probably buy it in a heartbeat.
I was even thinking back in the day, when you'd go to Nebraska games, or actually when you'd go anywhere in Nebraska, you'd see kids walking around with, jerseys with number 15 on it. Now, it didn't say Frazier on the back, but they picked jersey number 15 because that's what Tommy Frazier wore. And so Tommy Frazier doesn't benefit at all from those kids buying that jersey to walk around and emulate him. University of Nebraska does, but Tommy Frazier doesn't.
Yeah, but nobody's arguing against that. I think
no, I hope not.
And here, let me read you this, Todd, because I'm pretty sure you're ignorant of it.
I probably am.
It's from Matt Brown's Extra Points newsletter, of which I am a subscriber.
I'm a subscriber too, and I read that. So
he talks about the NAIA and a freshman or a young woman named Chloe Mitchell, a freshman volleyball athlete at Aquinas College, liberal arts college in Grand Rapids, Michigan. She has 2.6 million followers on TikTok, and she's leveraged that into massive following into TikTok sponsorship deals worth $18,000. I don't know what she TikToks about. I don't know how you say that. I look at TikTok. I see women with curves dancing, and then people arguing about racism. I don't, TikTok. I'm not on TikTok. I look at TikTok. Sometimes it's funny. I don't know. I'm not going to use it. There's just too many social media services, and you can only do so much. But I can imagine. I mean, Kelsey Robinson. Of course, I follow her on Instagram because number one, she's beautiful. Number two, she was a volleyball player, and I have no problem saying that. But she puts on Instagram the stuff that she has to be sponsored for as a international volleyball player. So, we don't even have to talk about athletes like Adrian Martinez. They're going to find out how to make money. I think the thing is they're going to find out ways to make money in ways that none of us can even think of. And that's the beauty of capitalism, Todd.
I agree with you.
Beauty of capitalism, you commie pinko bat.
No, hey, I'm 100% on board. And I say that simply because, it's been a long time since a Division I athlete could do anything to earn some pocket money, because the demands on them and their time are so huge. They can't get those part-time, or even they can't get 40-hour, part-time jobs, let alone 40-hour-a-week jobs in the summer. They can't. I mean, anybody that, remembers those guys back in the 70s and 80s that would go and work all summer and make some money, those days are gone, and they've been gone for a long time. So, and there's also restrictions too by the NCAA on how much money, they can make. But, there have been exceptions over the years. I remember there was a punt returner from Colorado, that Bloom, who he was a freestyle skier. And I don't remember his first name, but his sister's name is Jeremy Bloom. Sister was Maggie Bloom, who ran a high-stakes poker game. Yeah, good movie there.
Did you ever see her movie? Yeah.
Oh, great movie. Great movie.
Oh, wow, it was really excellent. Well done.
Yeah, excellent movie. But Jeremy Bloom, he was in the news quite a bit because he had sponsorships for in his role as a skier. Then the NCAA starts poking their nose around, and they're saying, he's supposed to be an amateur athlete, and freestyle skiing wasn't under the jurisdiction of the NCAA. But
this law the Nebraska law goes into effect July 1st.
Okay.
And technically athletes could start doing the NIL thing. Nebraska athletes. It's just a matter. The NCAA has kind of indicated that they won't punish anybody for this. But Mark Emmert has also shown that he's kind of a thin-skinned shithead. Kind of like the guy that runs the Big Ten, commissioner.
I think. Well, speak of those two guys. I think Mark Emmert and Kevin Warren. I think they're like, in a hut down in Barbados or something like that. Just hanging out, plotting. How can we screw things up in 21, 22? We won't have a pandemic to fall back on. We're going to have to really think of some ways that we can mess up NCAA.
The key here is, will Nebraska allow these athletes to move forward?
I think they will.
You think so?
I think so. Now, as they already have the deal with Open Doors. Blake Lawrence,
And they announced, I'm trying to find the announcement about what they did with they started their own NIL stuff.
Yeah.
I think we're way ahead of pretty much every athletic department in the nation with this stuff. And it'd be a damn shame if we didn't capitalize on it.
I would have said before Bill Moose, I think the athletic program would have been too conservative. And I don't care who you're talking. I don't care if you're talking Eichhorst or Osborne or Bill Byrne or whomever. I think that they would not do anything to put programs and athletes at risk, if they thought that there could be some fallback. So, but yeah, John, I think Nebraska is going to go forward with it.
Well, on June 3rd, I have a press release from the University of Nebraska to launch industry-leading NIL program. NILBRASKA.
NILBRASKA. Yeah.
Focus on a three-pronged approach to providing education for student athletes to maximize their potential in the NIL category. In other words, they're going to teach them what to do ahead of time. Because the last thing you want is an 18-year-old kid that just got to campus has to figure out where Old Father Hall is and be approached by 38 car dealerships.
That just gave me a thought. Nebraska has been cutting edge in so many different ways. They were way ahead of the curve with strength and conditioning back in the day. At one time, they were way ahead of the curve on indoor facilities and auxiliary facilities and stuff like that. They're out in front with name, image, and likeness. Maybe now you've got name, image, and likeness, and based upon what you just kind of shared there about teaching the athletes how to do this and teaching, maybe Nebraska will be the first Division I college or university, to my knowledge, that will have a professional athlete major. I'm going to go to Nebraska and I'm going to major in professional athletics and put a curriculum together that trains these young men and women that have aspirations of becoming professional athletes, trains them for life in that vocation. Have a curriculum, have courses, name, image, and likeness. You got a couple semester courses right there that you could use. You certainly are going to load them up on business classes. Why not? Why not have that as an attraction to separate yourself from other colleges and universities and maybe jumpstart success in some of these programs?
Well, you know what? Maybe I'm making a note to myself to send an email to the athletic department. Nebraska have a professional athlete major. Set up a program along with curriculum. Okay, so you know what? Maybe I'll send that in to people I know there. And
yeah, why not? I mean,
hey, one thing Nebraska did win is the FWAA, the Football Writers Association of America, puts out this, I think it's called is it the Super 10 or the Fantastic 11, some damn thing, where they recognize the top athletic programs in the nation. And Nebraska won that for 2020. And normally what that award means is they did the best job of providing media with access and information and basically weren't complete fucking pricks. So I personally, nobody knows that award exists. I think it's kind of cool that Nebraska does that. And if you're from the Nebraska Athletic Department and happen to be listening to this, I always appreciate that you guys accommodate us. But
what little I've been involved with it in the last year or so, I've been treated very, very well by the staff and in sports information and that type of thing. And kudos on the University of Nebraska. That's one of the things that you're right. There's a lot of aspects to college athletics that go on behind the scenes. And I've had opportunity to be close to some of that stuff simply because of people that I know that have been involved. But Nebraska has always done things first class. Nebraska takes a great deal of pride in doing things the right way and doing them well. And, the fan experience, that's not just lip service. It's not just something that they put out there, use it as a cliche or whatever. It's very important to them.
Well, you know what? It pays off. I've thought in the past, maybe we should cheat once in a while. Maybe we should do something dirty, get some athletes, pay them under the table. I don't give a shit. And then you see what's going on at Michigan with Bo Schembechler's son talking about how he told Bo Schembechler about this doctor that was molesting everybody, and Bo Schembechler hit him in the chest, knocked him across the kitchen, told him to shut up. The wife of Bo Schembechler at that time went to the athletic director. The athletic director fired Anderson, I think his name was.
Yeah, Anderson.
Bo Schembechler had him reinstated. Now, the second marriage, the other part of the Schembechler family is denying all of this, but what a fucking mess. This guy's being accused of 800
men. Yeah.
That's just, my God, you go back through this shit that's been coming out over the past few years, and you looked at a childhood icon in Bill Cosby and find out he's raped like 4 football teams or something full of people. And you're like, what the fuck is going on, man? And then 800 people at Michigan. So there is some reason to be doing things right in your life, I guess. Yeah. I know I'm laughing a little and it's not funny, but my God, I'm so glad that Nebraska has not been caught up at any of this kind of shit, because I don't need that kind of shit.
Well, Nebraska is part of a lawsuit about not handling Title IX, responding to Title IX complaints appropriately. And that was a lawsuit. I think, what are there, 9 women involved that have gone together, and they've sued both the University of Nebraska and Michigan State for inappropriate response. Right. And, that's a cluster that the whole, there needs to be some work done on Title IX. I'm done. It's a cluster right now. Yeah.
That's its own podcast series.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I did make one decision this week that I didn't want to make.
And what was that, John?
I decided that I would not apply to shoot the College World Series.
Well,
I talked to the guys at D1 Baseball, a couple of the guys I know there. Somebody well-known in media tweeted out that ESPN had blocked everybody from covering the College World Series. And it turns out that's not completely correct. They are severely limiting photographers, and because they don't want anybody. Normally when you're a photographer, the wells are right outside the dugouts. So You're pretty close to the action. You're right next to the field. You're right next to the coaches and players, and they don't want anybody close to the coaches and players. So there's no photographers allowed in the wells this year, which severely limits the number of photographers you can have in an event. And it was already crowded in there the last time I went. So I decided this week that I would, if somebody else that actually needs to make money from this event, shooting it and selling their photos, should have a better shot at it than me.
Well, so I'll be going to some games. I'm not gonna go Saturday or Sunday. My folks are gonna use the tickets on those days, but we'll go to some games during the week. My family has been going to the College World Series since 1969. 1969. Wow. And my dad has purchased season tickets since 1972. And, it's a summer event for us, but I can tell you, honestly, this could be the last year from the perspective that, I'm going to save the old man rant. The fact that they're, we're going
to talk about what you're going to write down. And in the next 2 episodes, 1 or 2
that
episodes,
sounds good to me.
We're going to talk about electronic tickets.
Yes. That is, I'll just say this. I really hope my dad can get through the gate with his electronic tickets. I'm suggesting Mom take along the laptop just in case.
Okay. We'll go into that later. Is there anything else we got for this one?
No, we do probably need to throw a shout out to Spencer Schwellenbach, who, he's the winner of this year's John Olerud Award for the best two-way player or whatever the criteria is. And, certainly Spencer Schwellenbach was an important cog in the Will Bolt baseball machine this year. And I think he surprised everyone with how effective he was on the mound. To be really honest with you, his season offensively and defensively were not his best season, but what he did on the mound this year was close to incredible. So congrats to Spencer. I hope he gets drafted high and can move into a professional career. If he doesn't get drafted high, I hope he will look at coming back to Nebraska. That would be great to see him there for another season. So,
yeah.
Chance Roach and Luke Roscom are playing, on an independent team that's somehow affiliated with the Colorado Rockies. And Chance Roach won his first game on the mound, his first outing, and Luke Roscom, I think he had 2 home runs in his first game. So good on them.
What else we got? Anything else whatsoever?
No, since we last talked, I'll just I just want to give my congrats to my nephew. Scott Wolverton was the catcher on the Central Missouri Mules Division II baseball team. They got second in the Division II College World Series. They got beat in a tough loss to Wingate last Saturday. My brother had joked, and I'm not going to tell this whole story, but my brother had joked, he's got twins. He's got Scott and he's got Kara. And at 1 o'clock last Saturday, Scott was going for his ring. And at 4 o'clock, Kara was going for her ring because she was getting married. And as karma would have it, Scott was playing in the national championship game, and when Kara was walking down, being walked down the aisle by my brother, and so congrats to both of them. But Scott is the last of the Wolverton crew that'll be playing organized baseball. It's kind of an end of an era, so little sadness with that too. But congrats to him.
Well, let's end there.
Well,
let's end there.
We will end there. And what I will say, one of these days, I probably should script this, or maybe Greg should figure out how he can come back and right this ship, because he does such a much better job than I do, than we do. So that being said, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. This has been Todd Wolverton and John Johnston with this week's episode of the 5 Heart Podcast, where 5 hearts are all the heart you need. John.
Go Big Red.
Thank you all very much for tuning in.